Sai Ram. Yeah. అదే అందుకే chapter 3 we finished on last. Yeah, where is the other one? Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Or give us the yellow one. Which one is it? In the book. In the what is that? Om Sri Sai Ram. Let's start our study circle for today with 3 Oms. Om. Om. Our prayer to Swami. Dear Swami, we are grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavatha Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I just want to I should add one more thing on this etiquette. Please silence your phones. And just making sure everyone is aware that this is a respected environment. Be kind, and let's learn something out of this study session. And best part would be if we can try to leave our egos outside this bhajan hall. With that, I'm just going to go through what we did yesterday. I think we talked a lot on sealing on desire. We were still continuing on chapter 3 of Bhagavat Vahini. We continued with our discussion on Swami's message on sealing on desires. He said, don't waste food, don't waste money, don't waste energy, don't waste time. We actually talked a little bit about not wasting food and how we can bring ourselves, bring awareness while we eat, to be grateful for what we are eating and the journey that um, that that little morsel has taken from a seed to a fruit to being cooked with taste. And then we talked about not wasting time and energy. And Swami has said that most of the time we waste our time by um, talking when not needed. So we focused on controlling our talk and focused on being kind and speaking when necessary. And after that, we moved on to chapter 3, where we talked about how baby Parikshit crawled into Krishna's lap, and we talked about if that kind of intense love is it generally by birth or by our actions, and is it our now or is it by birth? So we discussed a lot about karma and its role. We discussed about the choices that we are making today that will help us progress. Anyone else have anything to add? Or any questions, anything that you may have thought about, pondered on after our discussion last night. And I don't have this slide. I can. Yeah. So we talked about how to reduce the amount of wasting food, but at the same time, know, sometimes we take too much food, try to consume it. So that one is not to use such a waste plastic. You have to be because I have like you know, and they put so much in it, you didn't want to waste it. Stop from that or keep the whole thing. Hurt for it. So that's a practical example. So other things, even as a routine, if you try to do that, or doctor, a lot of doctors say, but I'm talking to them here. So you do it slowly every time, a little bit more, and then you can keep it more. So that cause for obesity. Yeah. So based on yes, I agree. Swami says that too. Do not eat too much. So with that, if we can move on, we'll just continue with our chapter 3. And today we are just going to discuss on this the ending of that chapter. And Bhargav, if you don't mind, do you want if you can read? Chapter says, the deputy was about to say, Lord Krishna, heal him, and made it from the this child has been eager to know how to save him from legendary. Everyone, he had the same intelligence that he saw while in the womb. Then he saw that the divine form with all its features, so he moved straight towards him and prayed to be taken up and seated on his lap. This is the explanation for the tree. Very exactly. In this route, and they flew. Overjoyed, he paid him reverential. Thank you, Bhargav. So basically, this was at the end when looking at the baby's behavior in Krishna's lap. Um, Yudhishthira goes and asks Vyasa about this behavior, and that is when sage Vyasa gives him what actually happened when the child was in the womb. Up until then, obviously, Yudhishthira was not aware of that. So once he gives him that, that makes Yudhishthira shed tears of joy and thankfulness. So with that, I just wanted a few things that I thought. Um, First thing was Yudhishthira. It said the Swami wrote Yudhishthira was relieved. He was overjoyed. It was a different emotion versus what he was having initially. The other thing that I thought was Sage Vyasa talks of the child and Yudhishthira thinks of the divine grace. How can we earn his grace? Like there are avatars like Swami who grant grace and surety, but I mean, we do not know when. Yeah, I mean, if we don't have that guidance, right? That's what I want to say. If Swami is not there today, how do you know that you have earned the grace or you're doing the right thing that is helping you? What is that surety that you think you will have? Yeah. So Swami has said about this, right? That everyone has his grace. It is us tapping into that grace, right? So understanding and being aware of that. So I think we all have his grace. It is just, and remember yesterday we were saying, is it us doing it or is it Purva Janma, right? When we were talking about, right? So one step, it takes 100 steps. So that one step has to be taken. So you have to be very aware of that thought and constantly yeah. Of that. And then, of course, we will be able to understand it. I just want to add it's not grace is like a shower, like the rain. So how much of water you collect is dependent on the vessel. So if you have a big vessel, you're going to collect more water. If you have a small shallow vessel, you're going to only collect that. So the amount of grace for the derived why grace is flowing depends on the container. Yeah. So we have to get all the so it is for that for sadhana, all those things picture, but the whole purpose is vessels so that we can collect as is. Yeah. Yes. You know, the way to do it, so you have to be fast to do it, and like, uh, and and you notice to take you know, or yeah. You go there. Yeah. So yes, I agree. But how do we earn it? Is there a way to earn it? You have. It's not. It's there. Yes, Swami says it's there, but you have to earn it too. I mean, you cannot just. First off, can we take that for granted? Second, if you have to earn it, how do you earn it? Exactly. What we have done. So those are that is vasanas, what we carry, and other habits also. So how do we earn grace? We have to accept it, and then what we are doing is there is and that practice purity of mind comes to, we can the God is yeah. So some those are Moha. Ahankara. Yeah. So a lot of things practice and the days come. You cannot just okay. But then every day you have to talk about how to do it. So what we need to do is we accept during your time, the method of the teaching you can follow. Yeah, Ashaji wants to say. That's one of the said purity of heart is important. No matter what we are doing, if there's purity, then that's a good. Doing it for that. that's not the right thing. And shall find. If you're true to what you're doing, I'm sure the grace is there. It is there. You recognize God's grace, or you're watching that is my son doing, that my own doing, or it's God's grace that's the way I got it. So we have to be, I think, open to it. Yeah, Bhargav.
I have a problem with that thinking because if we're in an unfortunate situation, it's easier to make wrong choices at that point in time. So if we, to me, it feels like it's like enforcing another neck, and it spirals down and below and below. So if how are we supposed to earn this grace if we have like bad karma in that aspect?
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, I also think karma comes in. Karma only leads you to that point at that time. If the grace is always there, the sadhana that we do is going to be that that's the thing that earns that grace. The grace we are going to earn only through that sadhana. And that sadhana is continuous process. It's not like you will do one time and then the grace is there. It's not like that. So you have to keep expanding that lesson. So I think that if you do that continuously, that grace you will get it. And it's agree with all the things. I mean, you have to realize that the grace one that is the other part. But the grace part that you want it or not, the grace is there. Whether you like it or whether you realize it or not, the grace is always. So it's a question of expanding in more grace.
Yeah. Everybody is we could probably if they have multiple in their hearts, they always have the same how we say they would want to see every time. But they know how they go through a vortex. They all the time they know that everyone is not going to use it in the same way. So they have that's how mother and mother, and then we are born to testing. We have to surrender and say, Swami has. Sometimes we don't need it. We only live all the sin. But God always grace for everyone. That's what
Exactly. Right on.
Thank you. I was going to ask.
So, you know, the second
Definition of grace.
particular research. So you look for a job, hey, you got to get in that job. But then, you say, oh, it's not that, so they are not got that, but you actually much better and if you are and you can get to that. Grace is to be recognized and even I think that's the more important.
Yeah, go on, Shobha. I don't know. That was a question. I mean, to me, this, if I believe in Swami or God, for me, like, Shankaranji said, good or bad, it's not this grace, I'll take it as a grace. But let's just believe in God. Someone doesn't believe in a Guru. Then how will they know, right? But for them, there is what is the moral checkpoint? How to get distinguish right? That's my perpetual question. Yeah, but do they know what that means? That is my perpetual question to everyone. Yeah, but the nature That's what the the bird, the fish, life, life. But for example, if you comes at me and or my kids, my kids, I will do whatever I can. But if I and then try to attack me, that's against my dogma of going against peace and harming others. So my time I'm good, I'm go. But if it's actually everybody my dharma, right? So you making a choice time. I think every person is equipped with that. But unfortunately, if you're in those negative situations and you spiral down, that's also a choice you're making, so you have to be aware of it, I think. Yeah.
First, I would like to get it that what the grace. I think the grace what we first. There are two things. Grace, which your business is also grace. Grace, like what way that you are expecting. You don't want no physical or something that you are wishing that God has to give you. That one kind of other thing, that kind of grace you want. There are there are two kinds again. There are people who believe in him, who all there is a want of quite a grace of him. There are people who doesn't believe in him at all. There are three ways, right? One is Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. That is raised by Bhakti Yoga.
Right.
They have. The other one is a lot of people we saw then comes okay, who you like, or God like? That's a question comes. There are ways that God tells. Out of all, maybe who doesn't believe in him or believe in him? Who does not believe any living being that whatever you feel, Maharaj is the best approach that even he doesn't need to believe in God. As is who doesn't believe, but they do. Then who gets the grace? People who are praying at mundane things, not doing any good, who are doing this for us.
Yeah, very good point, Sai. I think we have to be aware of the grace. Otherwise, if you come, you would know. So let's be more and be aware of and work with that at that level. And if there's in the morning and morning, that means some cannot do that even, right? So just to verify for everything, let it be a and be thankful for that. Yes, and for the whole world, it's okay. He'll take care of the world, but let's take care of our own self and be aware at every uh, thankful for that. Yep. Please, Manojji. Yeah.
Just to add what question is Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Seva is also kind of Karma Yoga.
Sarkama Yoga. Yeah.
So We are dealing with problems.
Yeah.
So that is what you and to be aware of it, but not yet. As Venkat said, your duty to expand your vessel. It's your duty to cleanse it thoroughly. It's your duty to make it more vast so that you can get. We keep, keep, I mean, we have to honor it, but we just cannot deny it. Okay, grace is all of that, that we don't have to do it. Grace is coming up to everyone, whether we know it, whether we don't know it. So that's the concept. So that is the concept. So let's put it on one side. Next is your duty to do the karma. We have to honor the grace so that I have done this with myself. So that where the karma will the negative in karma is one to do the karma in that I have done that. So that we have to honor it to the grace of God. That's why we are doing it, so that we don't build up our ego. Otherwise, negative which comes with people that I have done it, I have done this, I have done this. That is the only thing. So to put a cap on that, we have to do it as a devotion. We have devoted it to it. It- Otherwise, we will build up.
That will be Ravana with 10 heads.
Exactly. Therefore, both of us, when I'm the first class, then I mentioned that easy way. He is like you like don't have to do a lot of research. No, know all the Vedas, they know all the Sanskrit, they will do the sadhana, but that itself will take you to the same level as any other path would have done.
Thank
Response. Um, interview that the same fact, the Sydney party had one continue. Was asked, do you believe in God? So his answer was, no, you hear of that. What did it say? But his answer, I don't know whether it's not. No. But many things like being the something that you need. So that took my hand. So, the meeting what I asked him, they were, how do you handle it? Here one example. Example was, I was like, being in the city. But he said, so he went to the, to the village, to the farmer. And the farmer is going to success. Like, so, so this guy reads about it and, gets into the car and realizes he's making. He walks back into the, where in front of him. So, the farmer, reduced to the city. And they go through a one particular where it makes a big short term. And so, because
Delay.
the answer is very, very fast, because so you have to take up some. And fortunately for him, because of that, that there was a platform that he had come of that, the use of time, he would have gotten a date back in that spot. So, so that is what you can say. We don't know that. We don't even know that. And but this, that of this, thinking, if I have,
Yeah.
you remember that, about, right.
Yeah, please.
We are, sorry, karma and, action. So how do we, there are practices that we can do. We can very well do all this. um, three types, three kinds of things. Like we have this chitta. So what is this? The result we want is a pure mind. This is where the karma, selfless, nishkama karma, we do it, then we get that pure. We know that he was as well as something, right? But we know the story. During I don't want to do it. I know what it is. It's right, but I cannot stop. Some of it. So the practice is, if you have really had, but the whole, this is where like mentioned, and how we have, you know, it became in a different way. So this is where this is the part that is important, and how the and then we have the second problem is the restlessness. The mind is so we over. So peaceful focus. How do we do that? This one comes bhakti yoga, meditation, being involved in aspects. If we cannot, I don't know what to do. But then we have the third one is knowledge. We are always body mind. Yes, we go and so from there we come to know to I am here. So we are for that, how to get that what we want is that. So to get that knowledge, like you understand, and then talk about it. To remove the gain knowledge, and then we can go about it. So that would be the best. So we have ways to do it. All of us, how much we want to go. When we get some, do we know what that we have done, or do we just accept it around? So it would be nice to be able to recognize the grace God has given us. And with that, try to what is grace? Can you say be thankful to everything level, because we don't recognize this. That is the problem.
Yes, I know. So I think we can, I would like to use the rest of the half hour to move along. And we'll obviously come back to this because this is a topic that is an underlying concept in the entire Bhagavata Vahini also, as well as Bhagavata. But so we'll be addressing this again. But just for the sake of time, I wanted to first give you all a minute or two to write from chapter 3 what your takeaways are. We talked about multiple things. We talked about intense love for God. We talked about Yudhishthira's uh, sadness, his attachment, his desires. Swami's quotes on sealing on desire, where he said, "Don't waste food, don't waste um, energy. Sorry, don't waste money, don't waste time, don't waste energy." Then we talked about the story also that led to the sealing on desire with the monkey, and we talked about following that, we have talked about what we did yesterday, where we talked about intense love for God of Parikshit. And then today we discussed what Vyasa said and how Yudhishthira felt relieved. So that is the outline of what we did for chapter 3. I know it's very high level, but a little haywire, but that's pretty much what we did. So we can move on to chapter 4. And now we'll be listening to the chapter while we read, and then following that we'll have our discussion for chapter 4. So this is chapter 4.
Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 4. The Penitential Yajna. The naming of newborn, the Namakaranam ceremony of the prince, gave great delight to the subjects of the state, as well as the inmates of the palace and members of the royal household. But Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandava brothers, felt that something more had to be done. He was not content with the joyous festival alone. So he called for an assembly the same evening of all the elders, scholars, the pundits, Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 4. The Penitential Yajna. The naming of newborn. Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 4. The Penitential Yajna. The naming of newborn, the Namakaranam ceremony of the prince, gave great delight to the subjects of the state, as well as the inmates of the palace
For those
and
who
members
are
of the royal.
online, we are just trying to figure out why the volume is not going in to our audio system. Obviously, there has been
household.
comment on how we should now be asking for grace. So, Sai Ram.
But Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandava brothers, felt that something more had to be done.
Find on YouTube? Okay. I can hear anyway. I can increase the volume here.
Bhagavata Vahini, Chapter 4. The Penitential Yajna. The naming of newborn, the Namakaranam ceremony of the prince, gave great delight to the subjects of the state, as well as the inmates of the palace and members of the royal household. But Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandava brothers, felt that something more had to be done. He was not content with the joyous festival alone. So he called for an assembly the same evening of all the elders, the scholars, the pundits, the subordinate rulers and leaders of the people. He prayed that Lord Krishna preside over the gathering and confer joy on all. The sages Vyasa and Kripa also attended. Coming to the assembly, Yudhishthira stood before the gathering a few seconds in silence before he fell at the feet of Lord Krishna and the sage Vyasa. He then turned towards the rulers, scholars and leaders and said, I was able to defeat the foes through your help, cooperation and best wishes, as well as the blessings of the Lord who is present here and of the sages and saints who have installed him in their hearts. We were able by means of that victory to win back the kingdom that we had lost. Again, through these blessings, the light of hope has gleamed in hearts, darkened by despair about the continuation of this dynasty. The Pandava line will be continued by the prince who was named today by the Lord as Parikshit. While all this delights me, I must announce before you that I am overwhelmed with sorrow at the contemplation of another side of the picture. I have committed countless sins, killing kith and kin. I feel I must do some expiation for this, or else there will be no happiness for me or for my dynasty or for my people. Therefore, I wish to take this opportunity to seek your advice on this matter. There are among you many who have known the reality and attained Brahma-jnana, knowledge of the Absolute, and we have also the great sage Vyasa here. I expect you to suggest some expiatory rite by which I can rid myself of this colossal quantity of sin that I have accumulated as a result of the war. When Yudhishthira posed this problem in great humility and with great contrition, Lord Krishna said, Yudhishthira, you are famous as Dharmaraja, and you ought to know dharma. You know the intricacies of dharma and morality, of justice, of right and of wrong conduct. Therefore, I am surprised that you are afflicted with grief over this war and this victory. Do you know that a Kshatriya incurs no sin when he kills a foe who has come to the battlefield armed with intention to kill? Whatever injury or pain or loss is inflicted on the battlefield during the fight with armed foes is free from sin. It is the dharma of a Kshatriya to take up the sword and fight to the very end without any thought of self to save his country. You have only observed your dharma. How can karma along the lines of dharma be sinful? It is not proper to doubt this and give way to despair. Sin cannot touch you, surround you and bother you. Instead of exulting over the festival of the naming of the newborn prince, why should you dread imaginary calamities and seek remedies for non-existent sins? Be calm and be happy. Vyasa too rose from his seat and addressed the king. O king, sinful and blameworthy acts are inevitable in battle. They should not be the cause for grief. The chief aim in battle should be the protection of dharma from its foes. If that is kept before the mind, the sin will not affect the fighters. A putrid wound has to be treated with the knife. It is not sinful to inflict the surgery. A doctor who knows the surgery and knowing does not save the man by doing it incurs sin. So too, knowing that the foe is a source of injustice, cruelty, terror and vice, if these boils are not treated by the surgeon, knowing the cure, because he is reluctant to use the knife, he incurs sin by remaining quiet, not by using the sword. Dharmaraja, you are speaking under a delusion. I can understand others less wise by being afflicted by these doubts, but I wonder how you are worried over this fear of sin. If, however, our words do not carry conviction, I can suggest another remedy too, that will remove all fears. Some rulers in the past have resorted to it after the conclusion of wars for removal of effects of sin. It is the rite of Ashwamedha, the horse sacrifice. If you desire, you can also perform this rite as an expiatory ceremony. There can be no obstacle for that, but believe me, O king, you are innocent of sin even without any expiation. Since your faith is shaky, I am suggesting this rite for your satisfaction. After this statement, Vyasa resumed his seat. At this, all the elders, scholars and leaders rose as one man and applauded the valuable suggestion given by Vyasa. They shouted, Jai, Jai, in order to demonstrate their approval and appreciation. They exclaimed, Oh, How auspicious, how significant, and they blessed Dharmaraja in this endeavor to free himself from the sinful consequences of war. But Dharmaraja was still heavy with grief. He was not free from fear. His eyes were wet with tears. He pleaded with the assembly most piteously. However much you assert my innocence, I am not convinced. Somehow, my mind does not accept your argument. Rulers who were engaged in wars might have cleansed themselves by means of Ashwamedha Yaga. Those were ordinary wars. They were the usual type. But my case is something very extraordinary. My sins are 3 times more sinister. For 1. I have killed kith and kin. 2. I have killed holy elders like Bhishma and Drona. And 3. I have killed many crowned heads. Alas, my fate, how monstrous have been my actions. No other rulers could have done so much of iniquity. So, not 1, but 3 Ashwamedha Yagas have to be performed to cleanse this quantity. Then only can I have peace. Then only can my dynasty be happy and secure. Then only can the administration of my kingdom be safe and meritorious. So, this must be kindly accepted by Vyasa and other elders and sages. When Yudhishthira spoke thus, tears dropped on his cheeks, his lips quivered with sorrow, his body was spent with remorse. Seeing this, the heart of every sage melted with pity. The subjects of the king were moved in sympathy. Vyasa and even Vasudeva were affected. Many Pandits shed tears without being aware of it. The assembly was struck dumb with astonishment. All knew in a flash how soft the heart of Dharmaraja was. The brothers too, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula and Sahadeva, were standing with folded palms in reverential humility, awaiting the word that will assure relief from the Lord who was in the presidential seat. Then the assembly with one voice approved the 3 Ashwamedha Yagas to relieve the distress of Dharmaraja. One sage gave expression to the opinion of the assembly. He said, "We shall not stand in the way of your desire. We accept it wholeheartedly. We shall celebrate the yagas in the best Shastric way until the final rites, for we seek peace of mind for you more than anything else. We are prepared to do anything which will give you satisfaction, O king." This was acclaimed by everyone in the gathering. Hearing this, Dharmaraja said, "I am indeed blessed. I am blessed indeed." He gave his grateful thanks for the promised cooperation. He walked towards the place where Krishna and Vyasa were seated and fell at their feet. He held the feet of Krishna and pleaded, "O Madhusudana, didn't you hear my prayer? Didn't you witness my grief? I pray that you grant your divine presence at the coming yaga, that you ensure me the fruit thereof, and save me from this burden of sin." Lord Krishna smiled and lifted him up from the ground before him. He said, "Dharmaraja, I shall certainly answer your prayer, but you have taken upon your shoulders a burden as heavy as a range of mountains. This yaga is no small affair. Moreover, the performer is the celebrated king Dharmaraja. That means it has to be celebrated on a scale befitting your status. I know that you have no wherewithal for this very expensive undertaking. Kings derive money only from their subjects. To spend on a yaga, the money squeezed out of them is not desirable. Only well-earned money can be used for such holy rites. Else, it will bring evil instead of good. Nor can your subordinate rulers come to your help, for they too have been miserably impoverished by the late war. So, it is clear they have nothing to spare. Aware of all this, how could you accept to celebrate 3 Ashwamedas in a row? I wonder how you found such audacity in spite of these adverse conditions. And you have already announced it publicly in this great and distinguished gathering. You did not give me even a hint about this costly idea. Then we could have thought out some plan. Well, it is not too late. We shall take a decision after some more deliberation. It does not matter if some delay is caused. Dharmaraja listened to these words of the Lord and laughed a hearty laugh. "O Lord, you are playing a drama with me, I know. I have never decided upon an act without deliberation, nor have I worried about money or the wherewithal. When we have a guardian, you, with inexhaustible grace, why should I worry about anything? When I have the kalpataru in my garden, why should I worry seeking roots and tubers? The all-powerful Lord, who has been guarding us all these terrible years as the eyelids guard the eye, will not give us up at this juncture. For you who can whip huge mountains into dust, this little pebble is no problem at all. You are my treasure, my treasury. You are the very breath. Whatever you may say, I will not hesitate. All my strength, all my wealth is you, and you alone. I place all my burdens, including the burden of state and this new burden of 3 yagas, at your feet. You can do anything you like. You may value my word and carry out my intention, or you may discard it and cancel the yagas. I have no concern. I am equally happy whatever you do. O Lord, it is your will and not my will." Of course, with the Lord who resides in the heart, no special pleading is needed. The Lord melted. He lifted Dharmaraja and helped him to stand. "Dharmaraja, I just spoke to test your faith and devotion. I wanted to show to these subjects of yours how strong is your faith in me. You need have no worry of any score. Your wish will be fulfilled. If you follow my instructions, you can procure very easily the money needed for the celebration of the yagas. You can get it without harassing the rulers and squeezing the subjects." On hearing this, Dharmaraja was delighted. He said, "O Lord, we shall honor your command." Then Krishna said, "Listen, in bygone times, a ruler named Marut performed a yaga in a style that no one since then could approach. The hall where the yaga was celebrated, along with every item connected with it, were of gold. Gold bricks were given away as gifts to the priests who officiated. Golden images of cows were given instead of cows, and plates of gold were distributed instead of lands. But the Brahmins were not able to carry them home, and so they took only as much as they could lift and carry. The rest they just cast away. Those pieces of gold are now available in large quantities for your yagas. You can collect them." Dharmaraja did not agree. He had qualms about it. He said, "Lord, that is the property of those to whom it was given. How can I make use of it without their permission?" For this, Krishna replied, "They have cast it away, fully conscious of what they were doing and what they were discarding. They are not alive today. Their children know nothing about the existence of this treasure. It is now under the earth. Remember that all treasure inside the earth, which has no master or owner, belongs to the king of that realm. When the king wants to take possession of it, no one has the right to object. So, bring the treasure soon and prepare for the celebration of the yagas, commanded the Lord.
So, Sairam, this is chapter 4. And I know Krishna's words have such potent meaning. We can spend the next 6 sessions even talking about sin and the Kalpatru tree and everything else. So we can start the discussion, but we have only about 7-8 minutes. We can do a quick intro on what the discussion is going to be. So just we just heard the chapter, so I don't think we need to reread this, but it is just about how the chapter started with Yudhishthira feeling like he had committed countless sins. And so a few pointers that I felt was, even with Krishna by his side, why did Yudhishthira feel sinful? And looking back at Kurukshetra war, is there a reason for Pandavas to feel that their acts were actually sinful?
Krishna says that, right, in this, there is no sin. Like he gives the examples of the doctor operating or the, for the right cause, killing in the battlefield. But still, Yudhishthira is not sure. He is very convinced he has committed sin. So even though the Lord himself is saying you don't have a sin.
Yeah, that is why I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
The Lord said you
Yeah.
are doing your karma, you are doing the right thing, but Yudhishthira and his brothers also felt that it is sin. Yes.
Saira, so one thing when I read through this chapter, all I see is a sine wave going up and down like this. Uh, you know, uh, Yudhishthira seems to be many times like the bottom, of the rung like us, and suddenly he elevates himself to, so at one time I for a moment I thought he does not realize it's the Lord who is there, but he addresses him as Lord, and then yet, he Lord says there is no sin. He doesn't accept it. And then, when he has, Lord says, okay, you will find the resources. At that moment, how are you going to, do this? This is a very expensive thing. At that time, he says, I'm falling in, yeah, you will take care of. So it's kind of confusing. Why didn't he take the first few, thing? And Lord has said, there is no sin. He won't take that. So it seems like, he's jumping between the ordinary plane and then into the higher plane. So that's what I'm getting from here.
See, what I think Yudhishthira shows in this one is the typical behavior of human beings. What we sometimes we have to do certain things that towards our own children, for example, towards disciplining them, or towards doing something that we ourselves don't like doing, but we feel that we have to do it. But then after we do it, and when that child suffers due to it for some reason, then we feel bad. Yudhishthira is going through the same thing. He knows that he has to fight the war, and that is justified. So everything is correct. But at the same time, he feels bad that he has killed his own guru, his own uncle, his own relatives, cousins, all those things with whom they have played as a child. He has killed. So he feels bad that way, even though Krishna advises, but it's a tough thing. Even though when Swami says, I think it's an individual who has to go through. I think that is what Yudhishthira exemplifies here. So it is each of us could be going through that. How much faith we have in completely surrendering is what it is. I don't think he shows that at this in this chapter yet.
Sairam, I think at this moment, Dharmaraja is thinking that it was done by him, right? Most of the cases, we say it's all you are making us to do everything, but time to time, we always get that ego inside. Oh, all this war is done by me, not by Krishna. So that's why he's feeling that all the karma was done by him, but it is not. It was made to do by Lord Krishna. That's the difference.
I think Yudhishthira is full of contradictions. That is my conclusion. Well, he did that, right? When he played that game, dice, and he put his wife Draupadi as a pawn, didn't he feel that is sin? What right? He is husband, but putting her against her will or anybody else. And at that time, he didn't have any remorse. They didn't mention it in the books. So he thought it was okay. Okay. And then he lost everything, his kingdom and all, and then went to war. And then Krishna right here says, you have no sin, but now he said, no, I have committed sin. Okay. And then later he says, okay, I leave everything up to you to getting the gold, and that part he surrenders. Okay, you will take care of all the expenses. So a lot of contradictions there. But one thing struck me was Krishna says, why should you dread imaginary calamities and seek remedies? Right? That is very interesting, non-existing sins. Yeah. Okay, so Yudhishthira wants to listen when he wants to listen. Otherwise, he ignores, just like us.
See, I just want to
This is the
compliment
right-
on this issue which is going on, right or wrong, right? So can I correlate with the Ramayana which is going on right now, and I watch every day, and Lord Shiva is coordinating with what Rama is doing, and everybody was cursing Kekai what she did. But he explained, Lord Shiva explained, no, she did a right thing because of the fact that Rama had gone to the jungle and helped a lot of rishis, and he was supposed to go there. And KK has to be praised for what she did. So KK felt that way herself also, but she did the right thing to ask those two boons from Dasharatha to let Rama go to the jungle, and then he killed Ravana because he was not good, he was evil. So he was supposed to go there.
So as he mentioned, so everyone is assigned a duty. So Kekai had that duty to take all those guilt and negativity, and she still performed it. I would rather say in that way. So as Venkatji has mentioned, we all go through this dilemma every day. One time we surrender, one time we say we have done it. So these are the guys who have just listened to Gita live a few years ago. These are those guys. And if they could not understand that well, so we are much, we are, so, so we are, yeah, they heard it live from the Lord. I mean, they got birth in that era. They got birth in that era. They saw it, they listened to it live. And still, after maybe a year or so, he was, not a year, maybe more than that, he was again in a dilemma. So we all go through this every day. So as last class, someone has mentioned that what is the solution? Solution is to surrender. Repeatedly practice your mind to surrender to Lord. Sooner or later, Lord Krishna, Yudhishthira is doing the same thing. After argument, discussion, he finally surrenders. That is the ultimate aim, ultimate goal, ultimate way to have it. Surrender is that.
Yeah. I wonder when he was killing the Dharamraj, Arjun and all of them, when they were really killing, did they think of it? Okay, I am okay to kill because it's okay. I am doing a dharmic thing, killing. At that time, they didn't think. They were just in the war and they killed and they killed and they killed.
In spite of all that,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we have to actually call it a day right now. But we'll definitely continue this discussion. Just wanted to bring everyone up to speed. This week, the live application is to try to be happy. Focus on defining it for yourself. If you can make a note of it, that will be a great starting point for each one of us. So again, let's end this session. Thank you all for joining today. Oh.
Shanta, Shanta, Shanti. Sai Ram.